You know that feeling when you're building with AI? It's amazing, right? You've got this great idea, the code is coming together, and then you see the cloud bill. Yeah, that's what we're talking about today. A huge shift in how we build and pay for AI. It's about moving from just raw power to something a whole lot smarter. This quote from Northlink just nails it, doesn't it? GPUs are the engines of AI, no doubt. But the moment you try to scale up, those costs can just explode, and it feels like your project might never even get off the ground. And really, this is what it all comes down to. The challenge for so many of us isn't coming up with the next great idea. It's figuring out if we can even afford to build it. So let's really dig into the true cost of AI and talk about this revolution that's trying to solve that exact problem. Okay, let's dive right in. First up, the problem. We're going to start by looking at the real and sometimes pretty surprising costs of the hardware that's supposed to be powering this whole AI boom. You know that hourly rate you see for a GPU? It's so misleading. The real costs are always buried in the fine print. You might grab a cheap GPU, but if it keeps failing, you've just wasted days of work. And then you get hit with all these little hidden fees for CPU, for RAM, for data transfer. They just bleed you dry. And honestly, what's the point of a cheap GPU if it's never actually available when you need to run a job? It's a total minefield out there. So what's causing the shakeup? Well, the entire AI market is really shifting its focus. We're seeing this massive move from one part of the AI lifecycle to another, and understanding that shift is everything. Which brings up a pretty interesting question, right? If developers are all feeling this cost crunch, but the industry is booming, where is all the money really going? I think the answer is going to surprise you. And here it is. This is the new reality. Research shows that a whopping 80% of AI budgets are now spent on what's called inference. That's the cost of actually running the model and giving results to your users. Only 20% is going to training. So the real cost isn't building the AI anymore. It's keeping the lights on. This is the one sentence to remember. Training is the upfront cost. You do it once or maybe a few times. But inference, that's the day-to-day operational cost that's actually powering the product your customers are using. That's where the real pressure is. And this isn't a small problem. We're talking almost half of all developers, 49%, saying the high cost of inference is the single biggest thing stopping them from scaling their AI ops. This is the central challenge for the entire industry right now. So how are cloud companies reacting to this massive shift? Well, let's look at a real-world case study that shows you exactly where the smart money decided to go. Okay, so back in 2023, DigitalOcean put $111 million in cash on the table to buy Paperspace. Now, this wasn't just about buying a competitor. It was a huge strategic pivot. They took that technology, integrated it, and went all in on building a platform designed specifically to solve this inference problem we've been talking about. I mean, the CEO of Paperspace really said it best. The whole idea was to take their AI know-how and combine it with DigitalOcean's knack for making things simple. The goal? To make all this crazy AI tech accessible to every developer, not just the giant companies with huge budgets. All right, so what does this solution actually look like? How is the cloud changing to deal with this new world of inference and agents? Well, it's all about giving developers a completely new toolbox. First up, serverless inference. And this is a total game changer. Instead of renting a GPU and managing it 24/7, you just call a model like GPT-5 or Claude through a simple API. You only pay for the exact moment you use it, and all that headache of managing servers just vanishes. It's about getting access to the power, not having to own the power plant. Next, we have AI agents. Think of these as the brains of your application. An agent is a system you build that can actually do things on its own. It could be an HR assistant answering questions for your employees or a support bot that automatically handles customer tickets. These agents are the actual product your users will interact with. But here's the magic question. How do you make these agents an expert on your business? That's where knowledge bases come in. You feed the agent your company's private data, your internal docs, your website content. Then the agent uses a technique called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, to give answers that are specific to you. Think of it like an open book test. The agent gets to retrieve the facts from your private data before it generates an answer. It completely grounds the AI in your reality, and the responses become so much more accurate and useful. And the best part about these new platforms is the choice. You're not locked into just one company's models anymore. Through a single, simple interface, you can tap into the latest and greatest from OpenAI, Anthropic, open source models from Meta, and even models that generate images and audio. It just simplifies everything. So, let's zoom out. What does all of this mean for the future? Well, we're stepping into a brand new era of software development, and it's going to be completely centered around these AI agents. The data on this is just crystal clear. When you ask developers where the real long-term value is, it's not even close. 60% say it's in the applications and agents they build. The infrastructure, the platforms, that's all becoming a commodity. The real value is in what you create on top of it. And listen, this isn't some sci-fi future we're talking about. It is happening right now. More than half of companies are already seeing productivity jump because of agents. Almost half are creating brand new business capabilities that didn't exist before. The focus for developers has shifted to integration, and the number one spot for budget growth? You guessed it, applications and agents. So all of this research leads to a really clear, really urgent call to action. The time for sitting on the sidelines is over. The real advantage is going to go to the people who start experimenting with agents right now, figuring out how this tech can fundamentally change their business. And that leaves us with this final massive question. As these AI agents get smarter and become this new kind of workforce, what does that mean for us? What becomes the new human work when the old work is automated? It's something we're all going to have to figure out.